Last episode, Vegeta's brother Tarble finally stands up to his brother. He snaps, and for a short moment, he's actually stronger than that of Vegeta. Unfortunately, that didn't last too long, and then the events of the story pretty much played out as they normally would. Only this time around, Tarble has finally decided he is no longer going to be following his brother. So in the time skip from the end of the Cell Saga to the Buu Saga, Tarble's been doing his own thing, except he's not with Vegeta, he's with others. That is where this story is going to start. Just a reminder, guys, make sure you smash that like button if you do enjoy this story or you have been enjoying this story as a series. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Turn on mobile notifications so you never miss an upload. And if your mobile notifications don't work or you don't get them from YouTube, check the community tab here on this channel. I always post videos that go live, usually 15 minutes after they've actually been posted on YouTube. So make sure you check the community tab for posts as far as that's concerned, gifs, memes, Dragon Ball artwork, all that good stuff. Without further ado, let's get into this story as a time skip occurs and we are now in the Buu Saga. So you've been following the story. You know the common theme I've played up with Tarble. These internal struggles, this conflict of wanting to follow his older brother Vegeta because he has admired his Vegeta. He does love his brother, but at the same time he has been poorly mistreated by his brother. And he snapped in the last story. He snapped in the Cell Saga, and that's officially what put Tarble to where he's at now. Instead of, staying with Vegeta and Bulma Capsule Corp, Tarble has actually kind of done his own thing. He has a place in the countryside closer to that of, I would say, where Goku and company live. Now, of course, at this current point in time, Goku is still dead, but Tarble has been spending a lot of time with that of Gohan, Goten, and the others. So Gohan has actually been kind of serving as Tarble's trainer, so to speak. And because we know of Gohan's nature, that resonates with Tarble much more than that of obviously his brother Vegeta. He doesn't really talk to Vegeta. In fact, whenever they do talk, they just kind of look at each other and they don't really say much, obviously after what happened several years ago. And Vegeta, he's not going to do anything to Tarble, but again, he's not talking to his brother. He's just not. He doesn't want to talk to him. And Tarble, on the other hand, as well, is at a point in mind where he doesn't feel he has much to say to Vegeta either. Now we're getting a little bit more of a tougher side of Tarble because of him finally standing up for himself. He gained confidence in that moment. He remembered what Goku said. All of that has been going through his head and has helped shape him into the character that he is now several years later. And because he has been training with Gohan and he has steadily been getting stronger, now he has more confidence to feel more sure about himself, and he doesn't truly fear his brother Vegeta like he had been pretty much his whole life. Now, I think I failed to mention, but pretty much everybody could assume in the last story, or the last part of the story, that Tarble did indeed tap into a Super Saiyan for his very first time when he actually snapped against Vegeta. It wasn't the false Super Saiyan thing that he did against Frieza on planet Namek, but he actually tapped into the Super Saiyan transformation once he decided to stand up to his brother Vegeta. So now Tarble again is another Saiyan on Earth that is able to harness and harbor that power. And he's able to use that now effectively like the other Saiyans are, which would be obviously Vegeta, Gohan, Goten eventually once he's able to tap into that transformation as well. So the events of the Buu Saga are going to play out much differently than you would have initially thought, at least once we get to the main fight. So Gohan, the Great Saiyan Man, that whole shabazz, that all plays out the same. Eventually Goku is able to come back to Earth, and the events of the World Martial Arts Tournament pretty much play out the same, except this time, instead of Vegeta being solely set on trying to fight Goku and allowing himself to be possessed, this time, instead of fighting Goku, his brother Tarble is the one that is going to be in his way. Again, this is Tarble standing up to his brother. Keep in mind, like I said, they hadn't really been talking in the last several years, but once Tarble is seeing what Vegeta is becoming, what he's turning into, what he's allowing himself to become, Tarble now with this newfound confidence from training with Gohan all these years, being able to really tap into his strength and really get himself out of that category, that class as a low-class Saiyan warrior. Remember, because his fighting skills were so bad initially, that's why he was banished away, and then obviously he was able to grow up fighting side by side, or training side by side I should say, with his brother Vegeta. Now he has that confidence, he has that strength, he has battle IQ. He stands up to his brother Vegeta and he tells him, I'm not going to allow you to terrorize innocent people anymore. I'm not going to allow you to bully and mistreat others like you have done to me my whole entire life. Vegeta allowing himself to be possessed and destroying part of the World Martial Arts Arena, the stage, and those innocent civilians that were destroyed by that of Vegeta. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And Tarble is like, you are no longer going to go about doing things the way you've been doing it your whole life. I'm going to stop you because you have lost all sense of who you are, what our family is, so on and so forth. So now Tarble stepping into a very different light. Vegeta, obviously known as the Prince of Saiyans, Tarble is kind of taking on that role in a different perspective with much more honor and saying, you have effectively allowed yourself to go down the rabbit hole and you haven't come back up from it. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop you. I will now fight you for real. And what makes this moment so special is that this is not just a rage moment of essentially Tarble snapping like he did during the Cell Saga in the previous episode. This is Tarble with a conscious mind, and with sheer determination, he says he is going to stop his brother Vegeta. And he says he doesn't want to have to kill him, but if it comes to that, then so be it. Because again, Tarble could then just take over the position that Vegeta has had, even though Planet Vegeta is destroyed, and that whole Prince of Saiyans thing that Vegeta has always talked about, it's just really a matter of pride. We know that. Well, Tarble is saying he's going to strip that and take that away from his brother. And he is saying this, like I said, with determination, with confidence, and he is not going to waver. Tarble has officially challenged his brother Vegeta to a one-on-one match. Vegeta laughing, sadistically saying, you know, all this time you haven't spoke to me and this is all you had. This is what you think you're going to be able to do against the real Prince of Saiyans, not some wannabe, not some, you know, whatever. He's just insulting Tarble, saying that he's still low class, that he is still nothing. He would be nothing without Vegeta. All of this, but again, Tarble has now effectively reached that point, especially being away from his brother for several years, where now those insults don't actually affect Tarble. Now he is solely focused on essentially silencing his brother for the pain he has caused him and the pain he has caused others throughout their entire life. Tarble now feels it is his duty, because he didn't stand up to his brother Vegeta for so long. Now he feels like it's his duty to stand up to him and put Vegeta down if necessary, so no others have to suffer under Vegeta's presence and Vegeta's wrath. So instead of getting the battle of Goku and Vegeta that we would have normally gotten in this situation, we instead get the battle of Vegeta and Tarble. Now this is very interesting, because keep in mind, Majin Buu is still out there. He's still alive. Only this time now, Goku can completely focus on Majin Buu, because again, in the events of the normal story, Goku and Vegeta fight. Vegeta knocks Goku out from behind, and then Vegeta goes to essentially fight Majin Buu on that pride thing. Well, now this time, Goku doesn't have to worry about that because he's not getting blindsided by Vegeta. Goku is actually able to fight Majin Buu, and then Vegeta and Tarble are going to be fighting themselves to essentially settle this family quarrel of who should really be the Prince of Saiyans, and both fighters are willing to destroy each other in the process. Tarble's effectively reached that point. He loves his brother still, but he feels like Vegeta's too far gone, and he feels like if Vegeta doesn't want to change now, he's never going to change. And he feels Vegeta's presence and him being alive has caused too much chaos, too much destruction, too much anguish, too much hurt, and everything else. And he feels it would be better to put his brother down than to allow Vegeta to continue on the path that he has continued on for their life. And Vegeta at this point, he feels that Tarble is weak. He doesn't feel like Tarble being around is any real help to anybody. So both of them have their reasons for wanting to put one another down, and that is what's going to set the stage for their battle here in this episode. So as the dust settles in this final battle between really Vegeta and Tarble, and then Goku and Majin Buu is about to commence, we look at Vegeta and Tarble's battle first. That's the most important, obviously, with Tarble as the main focus of this story. Tarble is effectively able to transform into a Super Saiyan 2 at this point. So this is what's going to put him relatively on par with that of his brother Vegeta, who is obviously possessed and is now known as Majin Vegeta. Keep in mind that because Tarble has been training with Gohan, his fighting style mirrors that of Gohan's more so than how he used to fight. Tarble used to fight a lot like his brother Vegeta, but then obviously after the time skip from the Cell Saga to the Buu Saga, Tarble has, like I said, adopted Gohan's fighting styles, even some of Gohan's moves perhaps, and this is what puts him in a much different light from a combat perspective compared to that of what Vegeta was initially used to when he would train against Tarble. It's also the reason why Tarble felt so bad. He knew him and his brother Vegeta had very similar fighting styles. Anything Tarble would try to really do against his brother, Vegeta knew how to scout. Now, because Vegeta hasn't, let's say, fought Gohan as an adult or as a teen for a long period of time, Tarble has some new moves, has some new abilities that Vegeta has never actually seen in battle firsthand. So Tarble's going to be a little bit harder to scout out and to counter in their battle compared to if Tarble would have kept the same moveset that he had when he was actually training him alongside his brother Vegeta. So the battle between Tarble and Vegeta is intense. It's ferocious. It's more than people would have initially thought because of how Tarble's character has been for most of this story, going all the way back to episode 1. It wasn't until he snapped in the Cell Saga that people really got to witness his strength. Well, really, technically Planet Namek, when he turned into a false Super Saiyan against Frieza, witnessing his brother die. Now, then you go to the Cell Saga, when he obviously snaps against his brother Vegeta for everything that Vegeta's done to him. And now he is completely set, determined, focused on doing what needs to be done. And if that means putting his brother down, that means that's what he's going to do. So, like I said, the battle is intense. Both fighters are going back and forth. And like I said, Tarble's a little bit harder to fight for Vegeta because he has adopted Gohan's fighting style and incorporated some new techniques of his own. So Tarble's kind of a bag of all tricks, so to speak, and it's harder for Vegeta to scout him out and to counter him. On the other hand, though, for Tarble, he knows everything Vegeta's going to do. Despite the fact that Vegeta's gotten stronger over the years, the time skip, Tarble pretty much knows Vegeta's fighting style in and out, and this is what allows him to be much closer in their battle, and this allows him to have a much more distinct advantage compared to even Goku fighting Vegeta, because unlike Goku, Tarble, like I said, has grown up fighting with his brother since he was very small. Goku didn't start fighting Vegeta until they were both full-grown adults. As opposed to Tarble, he essentially has an extra 20 years of that experience, 15 to 20 years of experience and knowledge of his older brother's fighting style, and he's able to use this to his advantage in their battle. And as this is going back and forth, Vegeta's obviously growing more irate, more angry that his brother has turned into what he considers a Kakarot clone, so to speak. That is kind of how Vegeta's looking at Tarble. So if you haven't picked up, Vegeta in this story, and keep in mind I love Vegeta, I love him as much as Goku, Vegeta in this story is a little bit more evil because of that relationship with his brother Tarble. Now, normally under certain circumstances, Vegeta felt like he always had to look out for his brother, right? He felt like he always had to take care of Tarble. He didn't like that he was a babysitter, but that was his role. That's what he had to do. Tarble had nowhere else to go, and he did feel responsible. But because Tarble was so weak, this is what really drove Vegeta to be where he's at today. It's not simply because he was his younger brother. If Tarble was actually able to fight alongside Vegeta, I would say strength for strength from the very earlier stages, and if Tarble was able to stand up for himself and have more confidence, their relationship would be entirely different. But because Vegeta viewed Tarble as someone that didn't stand up for himself, he viewed him as a Saiyan that was so full of self-pity, so full of self-doubt, and all these negative qualities that essentially demeaned what it meant to be a Saiyan, let alone a Saiyan from royal blood. This is what drove Vegeta to the point where now he has effectively looked at his brother as nothing but dead weight. And like I said, if Tarble was stronger and if he was an entirely different Saiyan mentally, let's say if Tarble had the mindset of Raditz or someone else, their relationship would have been great. But because Tarble was the complete opposite, and again, he shared more characteristics of that of quote-unquote Kakarot, this is what really pushed Vegeta away from his brother, and that's essentially what's made him evil in the story. Not that he inherently was evil, but because he was so frustrated with his brother's personality, his lack of fighting prowess, and all that, it built up, and that is why there is this disconnection. That is why things have gotten to this point now where Vegeta and Tarble are fighting. That's Vegeta's side of it, and I just explained Tarble's side a couple minutes ago. So as the battle rages on, there's going to be something very special I actually want you guys to do in this story to really feel like you have some immersion as well in regards to how things are going to play out. I don't want to necessarily say who's going to win this battle because I'm sure there are people on both sides. So in the comment section below, I want you guys to say, based off of all the knowledge, based off of everything I provided in this story, Who do you think should and would win this battle between Vegeta and Tarble? Would you still give it to Vegeta based off of whatever evidence or whatever supporting facts you want to provide, or would you actually say Tarble should and would win in this situation? It was very hard for me to decide who should actually win this battle, because I feel myself rooting kind of for both guys. I feel myself rooting for Tarble as the underdog because we know in reality he's so weak, but then I also feel myself rooting for Vegeta because at the same time he just wanted his brother to be stronger, and Tarble really never got to that point until it was effectively too late, and he had already passed up on trying to save Tarble and trying to look out after Tarble. So I feel myself kind of torn in between who should win. So for this story and the conclusion of this story in the comment section below, I want you guys to tell me who you think should win and why. And then of course on the other side of the coin, we still have the Goku and Majin Buu fight, which you can have play out however you want to as well, because again, I don't want it to be favoritism. I think it would have been cool to see Goku actually defeat Majin Buu in his Super Saiyan 3 transformation if he was able to keep up that power, because we know obviously once Majin Buu was able to go through those different transformations of Super and then eventually Kid, he was much stronger. And Super Saiyan 3, without the help of Hercule and the Earthling's power, with the Spirit Bomb wasn't going to be enough. But prior to Majin Buu getting to the point where he turns into Kid Buu, perhaps a Super Saiyan 3 Goku could have defeated him. That's still a debate going on today. Some people say yes, he could have defeated him. Some say no. Goku says no, and then other people are like, well, he was just saying that, he didn't mean it. It's the only thing about the Buu saga that is kind of up in the air, whether or not he had enough strength to defeat Majin Buu if he were to take that fight seriously and do it when he needed to have it done. So comment section below, you guys can feel free to let me know who you thought would have won between Goku and Majin Buu. Goku Super Saiyan 3 against Majin Buu, but most importantly, who would win? A Majin Vegeta or a Super Saiyan 2 Tarble? Would Tarble's strength be enough? Would his new techniques and his adjusted fighting style be enough to give him the edge over Vegeta? Or would he still lack that pure aggression that Vegeta has always had as a fighter, and would that give Vegeta the edge to win at the end of this story?